I'm just going to talk today about something just a little bit off the cuff. And I'm excited to share because I kind of think that I just manifested my dream car. I'll tell you more about that in a second. But I think it all comes back to this core belief that I built my entire business on, which is the worst they can do is say no, and you never know unless you ask. You're not going to get what you want unless, first of all, you know what it is that you want. And then number two, you ask for it. Okay. And I'm telling you, I built this entire business on that principle of the worst they can do is say no. And they're probably not going to say anything. So why not even just take take your, shoot your shot, right? Take the swing. You never know what's going to happen. Um, I think if you've listened at any length of time, or maybe this is your first time listening, hi, welcome. But I used to be an attorney. I was a litigator in Los Angeles for 4 years, and it just was not the right fit. It never felt like me. It just always felt like I was trying to make somebody else's life work for me. And I mean, I loved law school. I went to USC here in Los Angeles for law school. Phenomenal program, met a ton of great, brilliant people, and kind of got swept up into this world of you know, uh, interviewing for jobs on campus and competing with your classmates to get the best offers and getting swept up in the money when the job market was, booming for lawyers in the era of the dot-com boom. And then shortly after I started working at my law firm, it was the dot-com bust. And we were just so lucky to have jobs. We were so grateful to be employed. So you just kind of held on to the role you had. And the goal is just stay the course, make an impact, bring in some clients, make a partner, work, work, work. I was making great money, but I never had time to actually spend it because I was never really home. And I just saw the future Jen not having the life I wanted. I didn't see myself with the ability to be with my kids when I eventually had them, because I left law and then got married and had my kids 5 years later. That was while I was running my agency. And I started Generation with no contacts, no experience, nothing, just a little bit of like a side hustle promoting a brand that I just loved and believed in. And I was so passionate about this fragrance company that I didn't even care what anyone could possibly say negatively about me. I just wanted to help this company. And if I asked and they got a yes of getting in a store or getting featured in an article or whatever, even though I didn't even know that that was PR at the time, getting them promoted in the media, I was just like, this product is so cool. I'm going to get it to this celebrity for these reasons. They're such a good fit. Then I'm going to tell this magazine that I love reading about this product. And then everybody's going to know about something that I love too. And I worked for free doing that and didn't even realize that's a service that companies paid for. But flash forward 20 years, I'm still running my agency, and it was all built on that premise that the worst they could say is no. And you never know until you ask. You just never know what's going to happen. If you don't ask, you'll never get a yes, right? So another example of me kind of using that premise in my life, not just with every single specific pitch that I send to the media, that my team sends to the media of like, let's just see what happens. You never know. Using that to get my client on the Today Show, get my clients on the Ellen Mother's Day giveaway episode, which was so huge at the time. Really cool stuff that's just like, wow. I always thought this was luck, but now I think there's a little bit of skill involved, and I'm comfortable. 5 years in, I was comfortable saying, okay, maybe I'm actually pretty good at this, right? But it always comes back to just asking for what you want, thinking about it, setting that goal, knowing that that's important to you, shooting your shot. If it doesn't work out the first time, you find someone else or you rework your ask. And I use that same approach to get my office that I'm sitting in right now completely renovated. It's so cool. It's so beautiful. It's been 15 years. I still love it, but renovated by HGTV. we were on a show that really only made it one season, but it was a great show to be on. It was Dream Home Makeovers for HGTV superfans. They didn't make over the whole house, but they made over, in my case, it was a big room, the room I'm sitting in, that is a living space and my office. And it was a no expenses spared dream home makeover. And everybody said, "How did you get that? How did you do that?" And I answered a casting call on a newsletter that I subscribed to, and the company that was producing the show came to my house, and they were initially looking into the backyard, but because I live on a hillside, they thought they couldn't get the amount of cameras and equipment, including like a big bobcat, like digging machine. They couldn't get it back into my backyard, especially not using a crane, because you can't, there's like a power line above me. You just cannot use a crane in my house. So they said, well, we can't really shoot the kind of show we want to in your backyard. And I said in that moment, what about inside the house? Are you looking to do any renovating inside of the house? Let me show you some other spaces. And had I not in that moment said to the casting director, I guess it was the production company, I had connected with him and clicked, and he went to law school, but then never ended up taking the bar. And I told him I was a former lawyer. He said before he went into production, he was a publicist. So we talked about that, and we were like kind of vibing. And so I just said, I'm going to shoot my shot. And I said, can I take you inside? And he fell in love with the space that we have, that is my office, and this big like living space upstairs. And my husband will say, I think he fell in love with you, because we had a similar story and we were like vibing. And next thing I knew, uh, HGTV was here for 4 days, and it was such an incredible experience. The room is still amazing. They gave us so much furniture that we ended up like distributing it throughout the house, because we were kind of new living in this place, and, furnishing it slowly. So we didn't spend more than we had. And we got some beautiful stuff that we still have to this day. I love it so much. And it never would have happened if I just said, well, okay, this doesn't work for you. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming. I did this same approach when I was talking to a friend of mine who I knew from law school, who worked at like a huge law firm that had Apple as a client. And then ultimately he went in-house at Apple. We reconnected, and I am just like, my mind is blown that you are in-house lead counsel for Apple. Like, wow, that's incredible. And he kept saying, I can't believe that you have your own business. Like, I'm so, excited for you to be an entrepreneur. And I just, the two things were not the same, right? I'm like, you are running corporate law for Apple. Like, whoa. And he was like, you are running a PR agency on your own, like running your own business. That's so cool. And I thought, that's kind of, I don't know if he was just like kind of blowing smoke, you know what I'm saying? But I started telling him about all of the Apple products that I love. I used the Apple iMac. I was, holding my very first iPhone when it first came out as I was talking to this guy, and started telling him about like, hey, if you're ever looking to talk about entrepreneurs using Apple products to run their business, I'm your gal. Just, again, I would shoot my shot. And the next thing I know, this guy that I went to law school with all these years before, that I didn't even know if he remembered me, but he did, he connected me with the head of global brand positioning for Apple. And she was interested in how I was running my business and how I use their products to be an entrepreneur on the go. And they followed me around for a couple days and filmed this incredible marketing piece that sat on the Apple website for over 5 years. I know it was more than 15 years ago because I wasn't yet pregnant with my eldest son, so it must have been 16 or more years ago. He is going to be 15 and a half very soon. So quite a long time ago, sort of new in business, still the excitement, the passion. I think that's kind of the through line here, is that you believe in what you're talking about and you're excited about it. And that passion is really contagious. And I also, um, just was excited to talk about what it is I was doing and, just genuinely like being myself. And just also having that, like, again, goes back to having a goal in mind. What do you want? What are you asking for? What does that ask? How can somebody help you on your path to securing that goal or that outcome you're looking for? You have to identify what it is and then have in mind, this is how this person can maybe help me with that. And I just said, if you ever want to talk about an entrepreneur using products to, Apple products to run their business, and the next thing I knew, I'm featured in an international marketing campaign for Apple. Like, I still have the video. If you want to see it or whatever, we'll link to it here in the show notes. But one of the coolest things that has ever happened to me and gave a ton of credibility. And I was found on the Apple website, and I had a lot of different prospective clients reach out to me. Every podcast I've been on, everything that has felt out of reach or has taken me to that next level has been just asking. And yeah, it's a little scary, but feeling like the worst they can say is no. But if they say yes, how cool would that be? Right. And so that is, I kind of got away from that a little bit in my life, honestly, where I started to get in my head and overthink things and, how it, like, I don't want anybody to think I'm taking advantage, or what if, like, we're not big enough for them or whatever. I mean, using that same approach to land our $1 billion clients, to reach out to former clients who have gone off and done really amazing things, like they have leveled up in their careers, they had a great experience working with us. And I just reach out to them and I say, hey, I see you're here. Like, congratulations. This company is so lucky to have you. I loved working with you. If I can help you in any way, we're here. Let me know. And setting up calls and actually landing $1 billion clients all came from that same, got to shoot my shot and see what happens. So it just like reoccurred to me that that's kind of what happened in this recent, like, I really do think I manifested my dream car. So I leased my car, and it was a 39-month lease, which means that you're paying for registration after 36 months, right? For 3 months, and then you turn the car in. And so I got the registration in the mail the other day. Let me back up. I want to say about 6 months ago, I had to turn my car in for like a repair, because it was honestly my fault. But I painted this huge painting for my parents, and I wanted to move it from my house to their house. So I put it in my car, and the tail gate didn't close all the way. So I used a bungee cord like a dummy and tethered it down. But in the process, I broke the latch. That was my fault. But brought it back to the dealership, and they said, no problem, we'll take care of it for you. But we're not able to repair it on a Friday, and we will only be able to get it back to you on Tuesday. So you're going to have to get a loaner car from us. And I was like, that's fine. They gave me a brand new electric version of my car that was so freaking cool and so beautiful. And I was like, oh my God, this is so incredible. Like, I am in no rush to give this car back. Take your time. Take your time. We'll see you when you're done. No rush on my end. And it was just so cool and so beautiful. And I was like, this is awesome. It was a new model at the time. And I just, kind of always thought, like, that's out of reach. I mean, like having an electric car, it costs less to own over time, but to buy it, there's a lot of technology. They're more expensive, a lot more expensive. So anyway, my car my current car got the DMV registration. And I thought to myself, so my dad is a car broker. He always has his finger on the pulse, and he finds deals for me. And he's, very, very connected. He's been doing that for 50 years, before anybody else did it. And I just saw him a couple days ago, and I said, hey, I got the registration for my car, and just curious, if I'm able to turn it in early, if there is an opportunity to get, something new that I would want. I was thinking before, maybe tariffs kick in and prices go up, but really before I have to pay another year of the registration and I'm locked in, you know, um, to paying this and I only have the car for another 3 months. That's kind of why they give you a 39-month lease and not 36, is so that you pay the registration for another year. And I kind of didn't want to. And I just asked, is it possible? And my dad called me yesterday and was like, if you blink and think about this for more than 2 seconds, the opportunity will disappear. I mean, it's not like a used car salesman pressuring me. This is my dad, but he is like, this is crazy. For literally $24 more a month than what I currently pay for my car, which is now an outdated body style, outdated technology, and, 24 bucks more a month, I'm able to get this electric version of my car, which is so beautiful and so awesome. And my dad was like, I cannot, like, the math isn't mathing. They initially wanted you to pay XYZ. And I said, well, I only want her to pay this. And he made it happen. And the payment was 24 bucks more a month than what I'm currently paying. So, and it's the exact same color, the exact same as the one that I borrowed back in March. And I took pictures of it and I've been looking at it. And I just saw a neighbor with this car and I said, hey, because they had my current car and they had traded it out and got the electric version. And I said, what do you think? And they said, and the guy was like, forgive my language, but this is the best effing car I've ever had in my entire life. We are obsessed with it. It is so awesome. And I was just walking with my husband up the street, walking the dog. And I was like, oh, kind of like must be nice. Like, I know that's not on the agenda for me because what are the chances of getting a 3-year newer car at an upgrade with like stuff, options and stuff for basically what I'm paying now. And it was just the timing and the fact that I asked about it and I had been thinking about it. And I just really never thought it possible. And even my dad, who's in this industry, was like, somebody must have ordered this custom car and they didn't take it. And there's someone else interested in it. And if you fill out the credit app today, they will bring it to you on Wednesday. And I was like, done, 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 done. Kind of made it a no-brainer, right? And because it's electric, there's like some incentives and, cash back and things. But it was just having that thought and saying, what's the worst they can say? My dad could say, you know what, just pay the registration. You got another 6 months on this car, wait it out, and we'll take a look in March or whatever. But he said, I don't know. Let's see. Let's see what's out there. And that's what happened. And I'm telling you, when you have an idea in mind and you think maybe this is a possibility or maybe I could do this, and you have that idea, go for it. Don't second guess your thoughts. Don't overthink it. Just keep in mind they could say no. What's the big deal? I asked and they said no. The amount of times it has worked out and the amount of cool things that have happened because I didn't second guess the ask. I didn't overthink what are they going to think of me or what, like if someone would have said, maybe you'll ask and you'll get this opportunity that's like so far out of reach or possibility, at least you thought it was, you'd be like, well, then why would I even ask? Like, what's the possibility? You just told me it's so far out of reach, or it just doesn't even seem like an option or possible for me. So why would I bother? I'm telling you, bother. And asking for what you want, making it happen, and just knowing that you have a goal in mind and you're passionate about it, you're excited about it, you believe in it, you believe in yourself. And maybe the car thing doesn't totally fit in with the other examples that I gave, but I think the kind of fundamental similarity is asking, even if you think it's out of the realm of possibility, being excited about something, having a goal, having a vision for yourself, having a vision for your business, having a vision for your life, and finding a way, and it all also comes back to believing in yourself. I believe in you. I have seen so many people do incredible things, and the things that other people are doing, the achievements they have, the way they're able to level up, I'm telling you, it's just because they tried. They put in the work, they put in the effort, they believed in themselves, they believed in the possibility. It doesn't always happen the first time. It doesn't always happen the way you think it's going to happen, but anybody who has achieved something, a level of success, a milestone, something that you're interested in also achieving, they went for it and they got it. And that, instead of being something that we should be envious of or feel like, what about them? I look at that and I see possibility for myself. I see possibility for the things that I want in my life and the way I want to grow my business and the visibility I want to have for myself and my company and my clients, the things that I want to share with the world about myself or what I know how to do. You could sit here and say, well, who am I to share this? Or who am I to talk about that? Or you know, it's too scary if I put this out there and people say no or they don't want it. It's like, you know what? Nobody's paying attention. And you don't get a yes if you don't ask. You've got to shoot your shot. I'm so excited getting this car delivered tomorrow. I'm not going to say what it is. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. The point is just that something that you believe is just out of the realm of possibility might be in your future, but you don't know unless you shoot your shot. So go out there, believe in yourself because I believe in you. And let's see what kind of magic we can make together. All right, guys. I'll see you soon.